Welcome back to the episode of Unranked Podcast. What we're going to talk about today, just keeping on with football season right around the corner. We're going to chat a little bit about Michigan, their training camp. Just kind of we've been hearing about the QB situation. Talk about the offense and the defense. It's kind of like what we're seeing and what we're expecting going into this season. Also talk about our Detroit Lions. You had the opportunity to see them live in person this past Sunday at training camp over in Allen Park. So talk about some of the stuff we saw when it comes to them. Then talk about some of the Michigan Wolverines in the NFL right now. Starting off with JJ, unfortunately, we heard that he's gonna be missing the season with a meniscus injury, but we'll touch on that a little bit. But yeah, to kick things off, Michigan football. We got a QB battle to an extent going. The AP polls came out; they got us seventh in the country. Like I said, I just kind of told you before we jumped on here, I like where we're at. Where when it comes to that, and just where the team is at overall. Yeah, I'll just go ahead and kick it over to you. You just want to see your thoughts, just on what you've heard and seen when it comes to Michigan football up to this point, a couple weeks out from the season.
Yeah, no, I think you can be nothing but excited. It's coming off of the season we had last year, the last handful of seasons. The team is rolling hot, and even if we have a new quarterback, new head coach, D coordinator, we still have stout players across the board. We still have top tier coaching. Sharon Moore was what six in well, how many games he coached last year? Four, six, something like that. He
Four or
so he
five.
made yeah, so and obviously undefeated in all of them. Made some gutsy calls. Did some. He had real coaching moments. I mean, he coached for his Penn State when we needed that game the most in mid-November. He Ohio State he coached. So he has big time coaching moments
Mhm.
already under his belt. So I think we're just in a very interesting spot. And I look at the bowl. We can obviously hop into it, but the quarterback battle is the biggest question mark we have. I think we have playmakers at on offense. Donovan Edwards is a playmaker. Coastal Love is a playmaker. Samaj Morgan made plays last year as a freshman. So we have people we can sprinkle in there. It's just a matter of locking that quarterback in and establishing that identity early. I still think we're going to be a heavy run the ball team, probably with a lot more quarterback run mixed in that option, quarterback just keepers, things of that nature. So I think we have a lot. You know, I think people are going to know what our brand of Michigan football, but it's also going to have a bit of a spin on it compared to what we have been doing. And I think that's going to be an interesting wrinkle, especially when we got some big heavy hitters, early in the season. Texas, uh, Washington, I believe, is in the first month of the season as well. So
Mhm.
what a couple of heavy hitters. I feel good about the squad. It's just a matter of kind of putting his wrinkle on the whole thing and locking up that quarterback.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I agree with all that. And I think um, I don't know, it's kind of interesting just hearing a lot of people, just in some different podcasts I've been listening to, just saying that Michigan is going into a full rebuild. I get it, we're losing quite a bit of, senior leadership, on both sides of the ball. Obviously, a lot more on offense, but I'll kind of start inside out just with like the O line. I mean, we left tackle returning from last year. We got a transfer from Northwestern at left guard. Crippen, be the center, and he almost started over Nugent last year. Like it was that literally like that close, and he's a redshirt junior. Gio El Hadi, redshirt junior. He started about 15 plus games for Michigan the last few years. And we got Gentry, redshirt sophomore that's heard a lot about, been very promising. So I got a lot of faith that Sharon Moore, being the best O line coach in the country, in my opinion, the last couple of years, just because he's a head coach, he's not gonna, just not be, coaching the O line anymore. So I just feel like we have some guys that have just been waiting in the work, in the works, and they may not have played a ton over the years, over the last few years, but they've seen what the guys have done in front of them. They've had the practice time to be able to, get to where they are now, where it's like their time to shine. And same with a lot of those skill players, like like we were talking about before we jumped on here, Samaj Morgan. That's somebody that came on the scene last year. You definitely expect him to take another step. Tyler Morris, he was pretty kind of played it sparingly here and there, but also had that 55-yard touchdown on that drag route against Alabama, in the
Yeah,
playoff.
yeah.
Frederick Moore, that's somebody we kind of seen sparingly here and there, and I've seen him take a couple, take a like a little drag route, 70 some yards in the spring game. So I think we got some athletes. I didn't even get to Colson Loveland. We already know what he's about. Marlon Klein is somebody I'm really fond of. Think's gonna have a great season opposite of Colson Loveland, and of course the run game. We know that the O line will be so good. Um, I'm confident the O line will be strong enough to where Donovan Edwards, Khalil Mullins. Been hearing a lot about Jordan Marshall, Mr. Ohio, and how he's been coming on and possibly in the mix for that third spot. Um, I, I feel really good about where we're at from an offensive standpoint. But like you said, it really just kind of come down to the quarterback. You just hope that with Orgy, like I don't see us throwing the ball more than 15, 20 times a game. So if he can, keep us on schedule, we're obviously going to be using him a lot in the run game. Probably running with the quarterback a lot more than we did when JJ was here. I just believe that it'll look different. Might look a little inconsistent and kind of start here and there. Might not be hitting the ground running because we haven't had, obviously we lost a 2-year starter at QB, and a 4-year starter at a running back, but I'm confident that they'll be ready, and Sharon Moore will have them ready. And don't even really need to say much about the defense because we lost Sam still. That was in Chris Jenkins, I mean, he only played, 40, 50% of the snaps because of how they already play, just from like a rotation standpoint. Already had a lot of depth there on the D line. We lost Junior Colson, but we gained
Yeah.
a freshman All American in Barnum from Maryland that people have been saying is an absolute monster. Like he has just been killing it in camp, was killing it in spring ball. The secondary, they got plenty of depth back there, even with Rod Moore going down. So I feel like we should hit the ground running. And I'm comfortable where we're at now, but obviously we just kind of have the one question mark with Orgy or Davis Warren, or whoever that looks like, going forward here. But all signs have been pointing towards Orgy being the guy to start week one.
Yeah. I I think if we do not go with Orgy, that just that lets me think he'll probably never like he just won't be serviceable other
Yep.
than like just QB powers with him. So I think considering he has 2 more years of eligibility, I think we know what he could do as far as running the ball. So if he can, like you said, keep us on schedule, that was a great point. If he can keep us on schedule, hit that timely third down, keep that defense honest enough to not have 7 to
10 in
8
the
dudes in the
box.
box every single
Yeah.
play. Yeah, I think just keep them honest enough to do that. Head of the chains, stretch the defense once a game with a good 35, 40 yard bomb. I think and the rest will kind of gel with itself. I agree with you. The offensive line, we we obviously had a great offensive line, but we did interchange a lot of people as well. We were they kept people fresh. Our starters, the first 6 weeks of the year, didn't play much past halftime. So
Guys
I
got
think we got
experience.
guys out there with that does have a decent amount of experience. And just knowing what we have been developing, we've had the number one offensive line. They won the award when 21, think in 22, and then we were a contender last year. So you don't do that without having top down depth. And so I know we've been what we have been developing, and I think that'll continue.
For sure.
So it really is on that quarterback, and I'm very hopeful Orgy can kind of put it together, become the starter, and like you said, just I want to know what that's going to look like because you can't stop. We didn't drop back with JJ 25, 30 times a game, so I know we're
Hmm.
not going to do it with another quarterback that potentially is not. I mean JJ was the first round pick, so
Right.
you know, I'm not saying he does not have that in him, but I think it's not been proven yet at all. So
Hmm.
even JJ, when he came into those packages his freshman year, was launching it. Particularly, I could think of the Michigan State game. He had to to my man from East Lansing. He had a bunch of that one, two good touchdown passes.
Hmm.
Kid for Oklahoma, but yeah. So I just think that's kind of the recipe for success here. We have the blueprint. I just want to see the little wrinkles we could put in with a new quarterback, a more dynamic runner of a quarterback, and even Donovan Edwards is more of a home run hitter than Blake Corn was. You've been saying that for 2 seasons here. You know, he,
Mhm.
you know, you I imagine there's some statistic if you look it up. If he has over 13 touches a game, he breaks a 40-yard touchdown one way or another. He if you get
Yeah.
him the ball enough, he hits that hole the right time. He's shifty. He has probably the only player in Michigan history in quite a while to have a touchdown pass, receiving touchdown, and a rushing touchdown. He
Mhm.
is very dynamic, and so that along with Orgy, along with what I know we've developed, Loveland, Samaj Morgan, that offense could be there. And you pointed out the defense, Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant, probably are two first round picks sitting there. I doubt either one of them are getting out of like the second round next in this draft. And with them being the two anchors up front, just disrupting. Um, I don't know who I don't care how good your offensive line is, you're going to have a hard time blocking that. And like we know, complementary football, those defensive ends don't have to be a Hutchinson. They don't have to be an Ajabo. They can be kind of play their role if the two boys in the middle are staying fresh and just blowing up the play right from the center every time. So I'm looking forward to it, man. I think we only have like one brush up game. I put a schedule up here.
Yeah. Fresno State. Let me right to it.
Fresno State and right into it. And I think you're going up against Quinn Ewers. Let's just call him first round pick, probably more than likely. Guy that would have went probably decently high this year if he came out.
Mhm.
So you got to be ready to play. And I just think Sharon Moore have them boys ready to go. And I think obviously dust up Fresno State, hopefully more than likely, and then from there, it's going to be a kind of a chess match. If you don't know what type of offense we're going to run, we were just trying to run power I this whole first week, and then unleash Pat White
Yeah.
on your
Like you
ass.
said, keep it real
So
vanilla.
yeah, yeah,
Fresno, yeah, kind of throw the kitchen sink at Texas. So that helps that game, of course, is being at home too. But yeah, I mean, we got, like I said before, no offense to these guys. I know we lost like 18 like guys. I think 13 guys got drafted. No offense to them guys that left, but people are forgetting that the real, like, not, I won't say the real talent, but the elite talent is still on this team, on both sides of the ball, in my opinion. Like you said, we named quite a bit of them. And yeah, Derek Moore, that's somebody I think is gonna come up to the scene and find his way into the first round. I think it's gonna be really his time. When he'll have a real good season, he's gonna break out because he was coming on last year. So yeah, and I think honestly, I feel like with the question mark, being at quarterback, I feel good with it because it's how I kind of look at it. Like if Alex Orji, like if he ends up being the guy, I think we have a much higher ceiling. I think with him, we can look at a 10-2, 11-1, just because of how elite he is running the ball. Just he throws a great deep ball. But I also feel like if it ends up being Davis Warren or Jack Tuttle, this is just in case. I do feel like our floor with them is even 9-3. Like I do feel like we have the personnel and the way we already play, on offense. Like you said with JJ, he wasn't throwing the ball more than 20 to 25 times a game to begin with. As long as we're not turning the football over and we're just keeping our defense fresh and not putting them in tough positions. I said on a podcast last week, I feel like we could be in, I kind of like laugh when I say this, feel like we'd be like in a more elite version of Iowa because we have, it's a strong defense, obviously going to be light years ahead of what they are on offense, but maybe not as efficient as you were last year. But I do feel like quarterback, we want Orgy for sure, just from a ceiling standpoint. But it's not something that I don't I say myself personally is not just like super worried about because it does sound like Orgy's taking the correct steps to be that guy. But if for whatever reason he can't keep it going consistently, I do feel like we have like a seventh year guy that has played, has some solid experience, and I always give Davis Warren a little credit because he was getting chased by Hutch and Ojabo as a scout team quarterback for a good little season, and and did his thing and has earned his way into being able to
yeah.
compete. But don't get it twisted. Definitely want to see Orgy this season overall because I do feel like with him that gives us the best bet at getting into the playoff and competing for another national championship.
Yeah, I think he could be the most dynamic player on the offense.
Mm-hmm.
If he could put it together and limit the turnovers. I mean, that's really what's going to come down to. I think he can throw a pretty deep ball. We know he can pound the rock. It's can he make them intermediate throws and limit the turnovers? And I think if he can do those and stay endurable. But
Hmm.
I because obviously that's a tough style of football. If you're going to be
For sure.
slinging the ball 17 times and running for 10, 11, 12 times, that could add up. So I
Check
think it's
himself.
just yeah. But I agree with you on that. I think we have the regardless of how loaded the schedule is, we have the talent to be right in the mix again. Right in the mix
Hmm.
for the Big Ten, right in the mix for a national champ, getting in the playoffs. I think we have all of that there. And I do agree with you. I think Orgy's the best, the highest ceiling.
Yep.
Highest ceiling. If he can come in and be a Melrose, he can come in and give us anything like that. 20 touchdown
Yes.
passes, 7 interceptions, and another 10 on the ground with 700 yards rushing. We sitting there at probably 11-2. I
Yes.
think, yeah,
So I actually want to kind of look at what Milrow looked like last year because I don't. I mean, it wasn't pretty, the entire season. Um, I mean, I look at it like this: Milrow was 65% completion percentage, 2,800 yards, 20 touchdowns. That's just from a passing standpoint. If we can get Orgy anywhere from 62 to 65% completion percentage, I feel great about where we'll
yeah,
be, long term in the season. And, yeah, pull up his rushing stats as well, ran for about 500, 12 touchdowns. I could definitely see Orgy, kind of having a similar season. But like once again, I mean, we saw. I just learned today that he didn't start playing quarterback till his junior year in high school. So he's really, still like very young from an experience standpoint when it comes to that. So I saw in high school he's like 50, 55% completion. We just got to get him that 60 to 65 range. I think we'll be sitting pretty.
100%. I agree. Go blue.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Season right around the corner. We're ecstatic. Looking forward to new schedule. Got a couple teams from the Pac-12 coming over. Think it's gonna be a great season overall. But yeah, we'll shift gears here and just kind of talk about our Detroit Lions. Like I said earlier, we had the opportunity to go see them in person. Training camp that was a cool little different vibe.
It was.
Opposed like in a game, you're a lot farther away, not, and obviously it's like a game, atmosphere. But yeah, I just want to kind of see your thoughts on what you saw, being up close and personal with the players on this past Sunday.
Yeah, no, I thought it was cool. It was good, cool experience, unique experience. First time to those facilities. I heard them mention it while we were there that they're fairly new.
Mm-hmm.
It was cool just to kind of see that, see just the excitement around. I mean, there was guys dressed from head to toe in lion shit, painted faces, Mr. T
Overalls,
on with bear
championship
logo. Yeah,
belt.
it was, and they were people that were fully, embracing it. So I think it's cool just to kind of see that and see the excitement that is around the team. And I think the team could feel that. They were showing love afterwards. But I guess just to hop to the game, like the scrimmage that we watched, just the work the players are doing. Some things they stood out to me. I think it was cool to kind of see the NFL how the practice ran. Look
Mm-hmm.
very methodical. They were just kind of moving around as like a big
Mm-hmm.
nucleus where everybody had to go. And that was kind of cool. But just to see St. Brown up close, JMO, um, Hutch, some of the guys that we see, Rodriguez was, what, 5, 8 feet in front of us, Mr. No
Mm-hmm.
Neck. But that all that was just cool to see. And I guess practice is kind of overall just the vibe of how it looked kind of stood out to me. Just watch them, I kind of half thought we would hear Dan Campbell yelling. I didn't hear that. I don't feel like I heard him once. I kind of thought he would be kind of you get the idea it'd be more rambunctious, kind of
Fired
yelling
up.
or maybe even have like a microphone or something. He kind of blended in with everybody else.
Yeah,
And then everybody was kind of down to business. And yeah, so overall it was a dope experience. And yeah, no, it was cool. Just shout out to you guys for setting that up.
for sure. Yeah. Yeah, no, I echo a lot of that. I think it was just a cool experience just being able to see them guys just put the work in. One thing I noticed off rip, like we had the receivers in front of us for a good little minute. I mean, you just see Amara St. Brown. I mean, he's just leading the charge. He's first in every drill, doing it, to the best of his, just full speed. You could just tell. he just kind of looked like he was like a step or two ahead of everybody else that was
Yeah.
kind of coming in behind him. It's cool, kind of seeing the running backs, going through, their drills and everything. And yeah, seeing guys like Jahmyr Gibbs just shifty in the bags. And you see guys, like David Montgomery. That's somebody I feel like he's kind of like a unsung hero for the Lions. Don't always get a lot of love, but he's 6 foot 240, looking just as shifty as Gibbs is, coming in and out of some of them bags. And some of the drills they're doing kind of cool too, like pushing off one of the bags and having to kind of come around and catch a ball like with another bag kind of just like moving around in front of them.
Sweeps.
Yeah, it's like it's kind of just helping them practice like catching in traffic, things along those lines. So also cool to see Jake Bates. That's the kicker that we got from the Michigan Panthers, the XFL team. A little shaky. I think he might have missed one or two there, but I think we saw him hit like a 60+ yarder. Um, no rush or anything, but he was like seeing him going in consistently. I heard he was kind of like hovering around 60 to 65%, the previous week. And that's something like we just need a kicker to be able to get us a 45 to 52 yarder, consistently. I think that's something that I feel like me personally, that's like our only weak point on our team right now. It's just getting a consistent kicker. We obviously lost Bagley to a severe hamstring injury for the season, so hopefully that's something that he gets. Jake Bates continues to get better. I did like seeing him kick a 53 yarder in the rain against the Giants. So we just hope that he gets more comfortable. We can, he can possibly be the guy that we can go to when we're, 4th and 2, 4th and 3, trot him out there instead of, going forward. But I also feel like the defense and secondary also kind of help with, just putting the offense in, good positions where they don't have to go for it all the time either. So, yeah, just trying to think of anything else I saw. I mean, wish we would have had a little bit more of them like scrimmaging like right in front of us.
Right.
But it was good. We were able to see golf. You had noticed that like anybody else was throwing the ball, it was kind of coming up a little slow, but golf was just, it's kind of slinging it. Like you can just, I think it's like his prime. I think, golf kind of get a bad rap, but he's been, to the Super Bowl, couple conference championship games. I think he's super motivated, just playing like the best ball of his career right now. And I do feel like he's going to take another step. So it's just good to kind of just see him just at work, just doing what he does best. And yeah, I mean, overall, it was just like you said, a good atmosphere, a lot of fans out there. And it was just excited to kind of be a part of everything going on.
Yeah, I think just to talk about what you said about golf, it was that stood out to me a lot. Not obviously any of those guys can throw harder than I and more accurate than I ever could, but it was interesting just to see kind of the it, oh my God, Sutfield, his almost looked like a loft after
Yeah.
Jared Goff would come out and just sling it like a missile. Just you just have a tight spiral, and I think that
Mm-hmm.
you could see the talent differential like that in them.
Yeah.
And then just to jump back to the receiver drills, I think they had a lot of dope drills. And St. Brown, just the ultimate professional, like you said, hopped in off rip, hopped in off rip. He was one of the first, if not the first guy in every drill, and almost flawless. He coming out of his break clean, hitting the bag right. He
Yeah.
wasn't like just nonchalantly going through things. And I think that's why you see, Pro Bowls, all pro type receiver talent, and having multiple Pro Bowls under his belt.
Right.
Probably going to put up a string of 4 or 5 years, 6 years, possibly of a plus 1,000 yards. So I think that's kind of in the ilk that he's in, where he's going to be one of those special receivers. And it was cool just to kind of watch him go to work
Yeah.
uh, in practice. So and I think just a lot of excitement around the squad, man. It's uh, the conference. I think we're in an exciting conference. Obviously, everybody talked about Caleb Williams.
They're on
We
Hard
all
Knocks.
Yep, Hard Knocks is there. I haven't watched yesterday's episode yet, but it's one of those things where we are in an exciting conference. Green Bay, I mean Jordan Love, I think he just inked a new deal. He's going to be excited. They have he's coming off a lot of what just I don't know. He has kind of an up and down year, but he finished on a very high note,
Right.
and just so he's riding that high. So I think we're in an interesting spot, and the conference is still division is still for the taking.
Yep.
But it starts early, and bro, I'm looking ready. I'm just super looking forward to it. This couple,
Yeah.
we ain't but less than a month out from Rams. So
Yeah, it's gonna be a big weekend. Got Michigan, Texas, the 7th, and then yeah, Rams, Lions, Sunday night football on the 8th. So it's definitely around the corner. But yeah, as we kind of shift gears here, quick to kind of talk about some of the other Michigan Wolverines that have been kind of showing out here and there. As rookies, as training camp preseason. Obviously, kind of kick it off with JJ had a great first preseason game. Threw a pick and came back and threw for 120 yards, a couple touchdowns. But unfortunately, he's going to be out for the year due to a torn meniscus. But I did want to just highlight Zach Zinter and Trevor Keegan. I saw both of them. They got some solid snaps. Didn't give up sacks. Didn't give up any pressures. So they just picked up where they left off. For the most part. I heard Mikey Sanders still has pretty much stepped in like he did at Michigan, just leadership. Playing well, on the defensive side of the ball. So no surprise there. So yeah, those are a couple guys that I've kind of heard a little bit about here and there. Obviously, it's preseason training camp, but it's good to just kind of see these guys stepping in and making contributions. From the jump, and I expect, honestly, I expect JJ to probably start halfway through the season. Unfortunately, that won't be the case, but wouldn't be surprised to see Keegan and Zinter or Mikey Sanders still playing meaningful snaps for their football teams in the near future.
yeah, no, I think I mean, I'm second a lot of the things you said about all these players. It's cool just to watch them. Somebody like Sanders still feel like he's been around for so long. He was around probably pre-COVID, and
Yeah,
hung around Michigan for a
he's a
while. He watched
receiver.
yeah, as a receiver, had some solid, decent years as a
Yeah,
second, third receiver, and then completely switched to securing a national championship as a lockdown corner. Um, just a handful of years later. So it's cool just to watch all of that play out, and that's back to just the kind of the that's a testimony to the squad, testimony to the coaching, and I
hmm
think we have a lot of that now still around. But just to focus on the guys that are around, it was messed up to see JJ go down. It's tough. I was excited. I ended up watching a little YouTube clip of all of his passes. He was looking solid,
yeah,
um,
comfortable.
and so yeah, very comfortable. And so I think it's I don't want to say it's a blessing and a curse, but I don't know if he would have how much he would have played or if he would have maybe had a hard transition getting thrown into the fire. But it is tough to see us not find out and him go down this way. But other players, we just mentioned Blake. Blake the Great. I imagine he's gonna make some noise in NFL very early.
hmm
He falls forward for 2 yards every single play. So
Yeah,
I can if you can get any push,
power
he's
scat
a
back.
yeah, yeah, for sure. He can get he can get a little busy. He really can. He just
Yeah,
he just don't got that breakaway speed. But I still think he's a do it all. We watched him receive when he had to. We know he can pound the rock. We know he's a pass blocker, leader. So he's a guy that I imagine is gonna probably have a pretty good impact early. And the running back seem to transition well. Um,
for sure.
and
Great. He's in a great offense too.
yep, yep. So I think all that. I agree. So it's just leaning into that. I mean, damn, we had like what 18 players drafted, right? Or so I
Yeah,
think
13 to 14, something like that. Had a
yeah,
couple
maybe
guys sign
18 signed
waivers.
total. Yeah, yeah. So
hmm
I think we're going to be seeing this draft Flashes championship team for a long time to come, spread out. I
Yeah.
mean, somebody thinks somebody like Nico Collins. He popped up. He's been off the team for a while. He popped up. Think about Donovan People Jones. He's still hanging around. So we've had a
hmm
lot of players. So I imagine this draft class will be much the same, where just players making impacts. I just seen a video. You might have shared it with Jabril Peppers just cleaning, taking
Oh
heads.
yeah. Got
So
a lot of guys just contributing under the radar, like Josh
yeah, yep.
Uche on the
Mm-hmm.
Patriots. Yeah, guys that might not be popping off paper, but like Michigan they just like develop like great pros that you can just have on your team. That
Yep.
just you just know will get the job done. That's kind of been the
Jordan
theme.
Lewis. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So we got some high level talent around, and I imagine this draft class would mimic that as well. So it's just um I don't know, man. It's cool to have football around the corner, and it's cool just to see kind of this all. I know the expectations we had going into last year, and it's hard not to try to mimic them. I'm talking both teams. Lions, we obviously brought back Lions are in a similar spot to where Michigan was, where
Yeah,
we had coaches that could have left that came back. We had players that could have left that came back that re-signed.
yeah,
You know, and they everybody came back for one goal. We tasted a little bit of success, came a game short, and
yeah.
brought everybody back. So, if if you could bottle that same thing up, where it's kind of we already got the motto Detroit versus everybody. Just
Right.
kind of put that motto up and put it together, man. I think we'll have a great NFL season. Um, and it's just I don't know. It's here.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, no, I think it's going. We're going to be in set for another season. I think we're going to have another season of two teams playing in the postseason. It just feels good. This last 3 to 4 years, obviously Michigan having a little bit longer of a runway, but the Lions are right there with them. We've been fortunate to watch some good solid football, and I don't see it slowing down anytime soon. And I think we are going to be in for another championship season this year as well.
Yeah. Hey, if we can put up, I'm not jinxing this, but if we can put Michigan championship last year, Super Bowl this year, that'd be a great little football run for us.
Be money. That'd be
Well
money.
deserved. Yeah. No. So,
Absolutely.
um, no, I feel you. I think we're both excited and I didn't mention this, but just throwing stuff out here. Hopefully, we can use Bates a little more. That's the one issue I had last year.
That
Hopefully, he can be
defense.
reliable for us. But you know how I feel. If we would have kicked the field goal or two last year, I think we might have had a different conversation. So
Yeah.
I just think hopefully we can put it all together,
Put
man.
it all
Just
together.
yep.
Got that secondary tightened up. Got new
Mm-hmm.
faces. That secondary, Terry and Arnold, Rakestraw, Carlton Davis. Yeah, I always feel like we should be able to get an extra stop or two a year or a game this year and be beating some teams by two scores. Where last year we were kind of, at the last
Skating
minute
by.
with like one score games having to kind of win it at the end. So I think shout out to Brad, got us some great complimentary pieces without spending too much money. Got all of our guys
Mm-hmm.
signs. We ain't got guys like Ayuk, out of camp, Trent Williams out of camp. You kind of just see all these little contract things kind of going around some of these other teams in the NFC. And it's just good to see
CeeDee
us like
Lamb.
full steam ahead,
Yeah.
full steam ahead with no outer distractions. I
No,
love how everything is trending in the right direction for the Lions and for Michigan as well.
I feel you on that. My one last point I'll say is golf. I forgot how much your contract's worth, but it's time to put
Time
up.
to,
We need
yeah,
them. We need them drives. We need them. We should.
absolutely.
Yeah. No. So I feel you on that. I second a lot of that, bro. You got anything else for the people?
Well, that's all I got. We'll be back with y'all next couple weeks. Score predictions, a couple other things in the store. So we'll chat with y'all soon.
Yes, sir.
Peace.